Hi there, I'm BT Lowry from Story Paths. Today, I'm going to talk about something nice and heavy. What is that inevitable thing that brings people to religion and other ways of seeking out meaning in life? What is that thing that we all don't want to talk about, but which is coming for each and every one of us? That thing is death. Yes, my friends, we're all going to die. As we know ourselves, some say that we will live on in different ways, and some say we won't. And you learn about people's philosophies and ways of thinking about death at funerals. Today's episode is my own personal experience in 3 different countries, going to 3 funerals, and what people felt was going to happen next. I awoke at 4 a.m. and sensed something wrong. My friends should have been asleep, but their house was empty. They had brought their uncle to hospital the night before. He was sick from too much rice and Indian sweets and a wound of betrayal festering from years ago. My friends came home in tears, and within an hour we were marching the village lanes in front of a pickup truck with a glass case rigged to its back. Their uncle's belly protruded from rings of flowers, like an island. His face was peaceful. Another one of my friends, an Australian of Indian descent, chanted the holy names of Lord Ram, and I chorused with a dozen others. It's said that the recently deceased often linger near their bodies. So we'd become makeshift angels, shepherding the deceased toward the river Ganges, where the waiting fires would cleave his soul from his body. In England, a year earlier, I sat in a pew. My own uncle had died. Not passed on, you understand, for his immediate family held no such views, nor had he. We heard of his life, crowned by a few victories, but weighed down by many missed opportunities. Whatever it was over. No need to be sentimental. It's better to be realistic. The end. "15 years ago, I was at a funeral in Canada that cut to my bones. My father had been struck down from the inside. No one said that he attained a particular ring of heaven, and certainly not hell, but some speakers did mention God. My dad hadn't stopped, it was understood. His soul, whatever that is, had moved on. That was the view of his staunch pioneer mother, who survived him. That had been the view of my sister and I, when the doctors had asked if we would like to keep him in a perpetual coma or let him move on. Move on. We marched barefoot along village roads toward waiting flames. We arrived at the banks of the Ganges and moved the departed from his stretcher onto the sandy banks. A hunched crematorium belched smoke from a brick chimney. A priest and the nephew of the deceased bathed the body with holy Ganges water and read verses from the Bhagavad Gita about the body and the soul, the temporal and eternal, and the soul's latent love for God. Then we carried the body up brick steps, even as another grieving family descended. In England, a year earlier, a secular overseer presses a button and oaken panels slide open behind him to reveal a mysterious darkness. The casket rose with a hydraulic hiss, then shuttled into the wall. The panels slid shut. My uncle, a collection of atoms, a fluke of evolution, he who began at his birth, was gone. We did not hear the roar of the flames, The usual platitudes of a funeral were unavailable. He had not continued, except as matter. You see, there is no grand framework encompassing our flickering lives. 15 years ago, attendants moved my father's body from the hall. Later, we would spread his ashes in a Canadian forest that was dear to him. In my own speech that day, I had objected to him being overglorified. In attempting to speak well of him, his friends had made him more than he was. I had seen his human side, painful and pained. But I still loved him, such as I could. I still lived. I celebrated his life with my friends and family, getting a little drunk. He hadn't died, though no one guessed exactly where he'd gone, or where anyone goes. Rickety pistons hissed and clacked as my friend's uncle slid into the furnace. An iron gate shuttled down, blocking the heat. We carried an empty bamboo stretcher back down the steps toward the Ganges River, where we set it down on the sand. The family of the departed walked away, backs to the dense smoke. They boarded rickshaws and were gone. If he was watching, he would see that his relatives did not pine for him, that they were no longer his own. The comfortable home of his body was ash. His only pole star was God overhead. If he must be born again, let it be in a family of spiritualists. Otherwise, let him finally go home. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, leave them below. If you'd like to subscribe, you can subscribe. And if you'd like to support this kind of work, then you can go to the link on Patreon and give $1 or $2 for each video, and you'll see more like this and better quality.